Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the PlayStation Podcast, L2R2. I'm joined by my co-host, my UK bruv for another mom, Callum Monroe. My name's Fonzie. I like to say it backwards in my head for some reason and just barrel through it. But Callum, how the hell are you?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, I've had a busy day of game dev. And yeah, just excited to not do that for a bit and sort of relax and talk about PlayStation because it's rather taxing on the old brain. But yeah, no, feeling good. It's starting to warm up slightly. We just had a really bad storm in the UK, and it's starting to clear slightly. It's still quite cold, but we survived. There's lots of like bits of tree and debris in the garden from the aftermath, but yeah.
We could have timed it perfectly where we're recording during your storm, and it's just dealing with the stuff. Tornado. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. It's, to be fair, whenever we get like serious weather in the UK, it's always like blown out of proportion. To be honest, so but it was quite bad. I mean, we could hear wind, and there's bits of tree, and you know, yeah.
Well, it sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Callum, you mentioned about something that we haven't really talked about a whole bunch, the fact that you are an indie dev, and I do want to get your take on with PlayStation, Dreams is launching this week, and I do, once we get to that news story, I want to get your take on Dreams. Just, does it appeal to you? I feel like, to me, it does. As an idiot, it's like, oh, you could plug this and that and kind of make a game, but I wonder if you're at all interested in that as an indie dev.
I think I was looking into it slightly today because I know it comes out tomorrow, and I was seeing how well it was being received, which was quite cool because I know the beta was a bit hot and cold for some people. For me, I think now in my sort of in my current sort of situation, I'd be interested to give it a go. I think before, when the beta was out, I was still really like in the midst of learning the fundamentals of C# and Unity, and sort of the really technical side. So at the time I sort of thought, oh, this isn't something I would do because I don't really have the time or the sort of mental energy to try and learn something else. I know it's probably going to be quite simple, but I just thought it's best for me to apply all my creativity into this one engine. But now I'm actually quite interested in trying it out. I think I'm at a point now with Unity where I definitely understand the fundamentals. I didn't release, but I built my first sort of version 0.1 build of my current project today for testing.
Nice.
And so I'm starting to, understand the fundamental stages. So I think now it's probably not a bad time for Dreams to come out, and for someone like myself who's interested in developing games to give it a go, especially if it is being received as well as it is, because if it's going to be popular, then that's even better. But yeah, no, I think it's perfect for just random people who maybe have been a bit intimidated by these game engines, because they are very intimidating. And I think it's a great way to get people thinking in that way and getting them just interested in that journey. So is it something you're going to pick up and give a go?
I dabble because, when I'm just doing something around the house, I fantasize about me creating this awesome game through Dreams without having any experience in it. I mean, I did play the beta a little bit, and this was an early access beta a few months ago, and there's an intro into how to use the mechanics, and they have like a demo basically and how you can manipulate stuff, and it starts to get more and more complex with adding logic to stuff and AI to stuff, and it's really cool. I feel like maybe it's more approachable for me because it's a lot of visual aids to what you're doing. It's not just coding. You can actually manipulate something and see what's going on.
Well, I suppose it's built for people to be approachable, whereas most game engines like Unity and Unreal, I mean, you have approachable game engines like RPG Maker and Godot, which are a bit more visual, but the real powerhouses, they're not there to be approachable, they're there to make games. So I think something like Dreams is perfect because it's being made by a company who make games, so they know exactly what goes into that, and with Little Big Planet they're already proven to be good at these sort of creative suites. So yeah, I think it's going to be, I'm actually a lot more optimistic about it now, and I've always thought it'll be perfect for people who don't have the time or necessarily the real passion to dive into these scary engines. So yeah, I think it's anything but a good thing. I think the only negative thing, being English and having to find the negative in everything, is that Media Molecule make great games. And this has taken up 10 years of their. It took about 10 years to make.
I feel like roughly, since PS3 was Little Big Planet 2. So.
Yeah. So I just think it's a shame that maybe they haven't been releasing anything else as well. But although I have heard rumours of, or not rumours, but I've seen things about there being a single player component to it.
Apparently there is. Yeah, there's some kind of campaign you can follow. That's aside from the creation tools. I don't know how long that is or what the deal is with that. But
yeah, that's quite cool because I mean, like the games they've made are brilliant. So I think to sort of completely move away from creating, something themselves. I'm not saying that Dreams isn't something, but something for people to actually just play. It'd be a shame if this completely took it over. So it's good to see that there's at least some sort of single player component as well.
Yeah. I guess as you bring that up, I've never followed the two titles together, but they're very similar with Mario Maker and Dreams, at least to the fact that like it's an approachable creation, engine with these two properties. But there was a lot of debate or worry about Dreams coming out. It's like, okay, when is this going to come out, and then who's it for? Is it going to have that mass appeal? But we see stuff like Mario Maker take off, and it's very limited for sure, and it's more approachable maybe because I've seen like my nephews played who are like 5 and 6, and they can create levels super easy. But I feel like if this is put in that same category, maybe advertised that way, you can still have it sell a bunch, and because that's a worry for a lot of people, is this going to be successful?
Yeah, and I think it coming maybe, I mean, I haven't heard anything about that, but I think it would do well on PC as well, because I think a lot of people who, maybe because I know that there's a huge RPG Maker community of people who are, and the general consensus in that community is that they use RPG Maker because it's, all the scripting's there done for you. It's very drag and drop. It's very event based. So you just create the conditional events and things like that. So I think, and obviously that's a predominantly PC community. So it's not that people don't use game engines because they don't have a PC. There's lots of people who do have PCs that want to become game developers but aren't interested in the programming side. They're interested in the design side. Creating, I don't know, puzzle games or something that you don't necessarily need to be talented in programming to conceptualize, and Dreams sort of allows you to really go all out on your design and apply that kind of side to it. So I think it'd be smart on their part to bring it to PC, because I think it'd be at home there as well.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I mean, I wish them all the success. I do want to jump in. I like that it's $40 in the US. I wonder if it's the same kind of equivalent in the UK, but it's definitely not like the full price title that we usually see. I wouldn't even mind them doing some kind of like $5 a month, maybe even like another entry point for people to try it out and not have to commit, just to remove all barriers so you get more people trying it. Because that's the thing, is once you experiment, you can realize if it's for you or not.
Yeah, and I mean, you've seen sort of time demos with things like Resident Evil 2 recently. I think a time demo would probably be quite good there, because especially for someone like me who's who would like to see what it's like, but also I'm unsure whether I would opt to use Dreams over a normal game engine. So like an hour or two time demo for people who are just wanting to see, because with something like a time demo, you never want to give a time demo for something that can be experienced in near its entirety in that amount of time, whereas Dreams definitely can't be. So I think maybe something like that could be quite good.
Yeah, as soon as you start to learn, you're like, oh, I can do something with this. They just pull the rug out and say, $40, please.
Yeah.
Nice, Callum. So I'll kind of transition into our first actual news story. I was going to ask you, did you play any games this week?
Not a huge amount. I managed to finally platinum Resident Evil 2, which has been...
you mentioned that was a struggle there.
I've been trying to do that for a long time, but I finally did it. So I never ever want to see that game again, as much as I love it.
Yeah.
And I've just played a couple more hours on Ni no Kuni 2. Don't really have a huge amount to say about that, but it's been a quiet week actually, games wise. So hopefully be able to squeeze some more hours in to some other things over the week or so.
Yeah, I feel like it's the time to kind of tackle that backlog and just kind of pick out stuff that you've accumulated. I did try. I don't know if you were ever following this game. It was on PC and PS4, but it's called The Forest.
Yes.
So it's like this survival horror, but also with these building mechanics to it. I played that. I had it for a while, and I actually just started playing it. And it's terrifying, but it's pretty cool. It's interesting how you can create stuff and create your shelters, and the monsters are fucking a nightmare. But
they remind me, actually, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Descent. It reminds me a lot.
Right.
That, actually, especially when, if I'm remembering correctly, that when you get killed by the monsters, you then wake up in like a cave or something.
Yeah,
which I really like that. But yeah, I'm not. I used to really enjoy like Daisy, and I played a bit of Rust, and that sort of completely sort of satisfied me in terms of like survival games. They're just not really for me. So I never played The Forest too much, but I think it's a cool game. I really like the idea. I like how, because it's a plane crash, isn't it? And then you're on some island. I think as survival games go, it seems really good. And I hear a lot of like negativity about it, but I think that's more just the survival genre as a whole. I think people there's just some weird negativity against it. But my little brother, who definitely shouldn't be playing it, he loves The Forest. I see him playing it quite a lot. But I notice he plays it on the mode without the monsters, which is quite smart.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's funny as kids, you think that they are they're shying away from these horrific things, but they're actually like, hey, give me that. I want to watch this. Yeah. Like, I also have family members that are super young that are obsessed with the It remake movies. They love them, and it's like, dude, I'm scared of that. I don't know how you're watching that.
Yeah. So my little brother watched. He's just turned 11 actually a couple of days ago, and he watched the second It the other day, and he came through and he was like, "Oh yeah, it wasn't even scary." And I was like, "When I watched it, I was terrified."
They just nothing affects this next generation. I don't know what's going on, but But so I did play a little bit of The Forest. It is super creepy. The monsters reminded me a little bit of, and it made me go back and rewatch it last night. But the Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I just watched it again last night, and it still holds up. The practical effects are super gross and just like realistic, and it's still campy. I love that movie.
So I really like the prequel, that prequel that came out more recently.
Oh, I haven't actually watched that. I need to sit down and watch it.
It's actually a really good film, because I'm a big fan of The Thing as well. Mostly my dad loves all these like classic sort of horror films and really old like sci-fi movies and things. So we were both sort of a bit apprehensive, but it's actually really good. It's a really good prequel, really faithful to the sort of atmosphere and ambience, and it's definitely worth a watch. I recommend it.
How are the I remember from the trailer there was bits that I seen of the like monster transitions, and it seemed like they were relying heavily on the CGI. Is that like, how did you interpret that? Was it still done well?
I think it's done really well. I think the main thing that it's definitely more CGI heavy than the original, obviously, and that can have its own pros and cons, but what they managed to do well is capture that really grotesque sort of eldritch like feel to all the monsters that you don't really get from many other things. In fact, and I think that's specific to John Carpenter's sort of mind and his creativity, and I think it's actually similar going back to Stephen King with It. I really liked chapter 2, the second one, because I feel that in Stephen King's books there's a lot of times where you're reading it and you don't know whether to sort of find it funny or find it really scary. And I feel like he does that sort of on purpose, because then you're sort of in this like emotional sort of, you like don't know what to feel. And I felt that a lot in the second It. You're like, it's really silly on purpose, but also really scary. And you're sort of like, so I feel with The Thing, there's a certain mood about the designs of the monsters that only John Carpenter really gets across. And I feel like they got that really, really well. Personally, nice. But yeah, I think you'd like it. If you like the original, I think you'll like the prequel. It's really good.
That's cool.
It's got flamethrowers in as well, so
that's kind of flamethrowers, horrific monsters. You're kind of that's all you need. That reminds me, there was not to go off on too far of a tangent, but there was a Thing video game that I played in like 2002 that was on the Xbox, but it like somewhat carried the story on, where you're these other Navy SEALs that are sent into that area after everyone pretty much is dead, and so you have to like pick up the pieces. But It was a weird game. I remember playing it. I was maybe, I don't know, like 6th grade, 7th grade.
Yeah.
And just like, hey, this is awesome. But like, it just super under the radar, and maybe it didn't age very well. But I just remember having fun playing that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever played it. It's one of those things I can sort of remember.
Like a box art or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Years ago,
But yeah, no, I never played that one.
Yeah, it happened, and that was about it.
It happened, yeah.
Alrighty, Callum. Well, our first news story is this one is pretty interesting. So this is Sony purchased Insomniac Games for $229 million. This is pretty nuts. So the original article is from Ryan Gillum of Polygon. In fall of 2019, Sony acquired Insomniac Games, developer of Marvel Spider-Man, the Ratchet & Clank series, and Spyro, and more. And thanks to Sony's latest financial report, we know Insomniac's price, $229 million, or the translation also 24.895 billion yen. So according to the report, Sony paid for Insomniac with mostly cash, which I'm not sure how that works. Sony owns IP for... It's like a drug deal or something.
Just briefcases of cash.
Right. Sony paid for Insomniac with mostly cash. Sony owns the IP for Ratchet & Clank, but with the purchase of Insomniac, Sony also owns the Sunset Overdrive IP, although the original game is still a console exclusive for Xbox One. Insomniac's next project is currently unknown, although the studio could make an appearance at the PlayStation 5 reveal event later this year. Yeah, Callum, what do you think about that? That's quite a big price tag, but that's also a AAA, dev.
Yeah.
So.
It's a lot of money. I think it's wise for Sony to acquire them fully. I mean, Insomniac have always been, except for Sunset Overdrive, and there was I can't remember, is it Fuse they made as well, which I think was multi-platform.
That was, I want to say, that was multi-platform, yeah.
Yeah. Aside from those two games, they've been pretty much a Sony studio anyway. But I think it's wise, especially after the success of Spider-Man. The PS5 obviously coming soon. I think it's very wise to do that. It's quite interesting to see they own Sunset Overdrive now. I never played it, but I hear that it's where they experimented with the sort of movement that made Spider-Man so good. So I'm interested to try that out. But I love Insomniac. They're one of my favourite studios. I love Ratchet & Clank. I love Resistance. And yeah, new Spider-Man was amazing as well. I'd love to see a Resistance trilogy sort of remaster or something, because I love those games. But yeah, it's exciting. I think their next project is probably Spider-Man 2, you'd guess.
You'd have to imagine,
yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and you have to imagine, with the next project being Sony's or Marvel's Spider-Man, like at least to get a trailer out to tie that to PS5 as a way to just bring people in to commit to buying the PS5, say, hey, they're working on this, some kind of tagline trailer they can show off. Yeah. You brought up the Resistance franchise. That would actually be really dope, and I think a lot of people have forgotten about them. And so if they were to, I don't know how far they can splinter this team, if they're now going to hire and increase the amount of the team, the size, so they can like have a small aspect of the team work on something like a Resistance reboot or Ratchet & Clank.
I mean, I think I can't imagine Insomniac probably. If there was to be like a remastered trilogy of Resistance or something, I'd imagine they'd probably pass it on to an external studio to do that.
That's true.
That's often what happens. Is it Blue Point who do a lot of the remasters and things?
Right. I think they did the Shadow of the Colossus and all that.
So, but I'd hope that. I mean, the newest Ratchet and Clank was awesome.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was so good, and it felt really tight and really approachable. And I feel like that could probably be made by maybe a splinter team. From Insomniac, but yeah, I think Spider-Man's definitely the mainstay at the moment for them, especially that cliffhanger ending as well.
Yeah, man, I really want to get back into that. Did you ever? I finished the game and I wanted to platinum that, but there's some kind of glitch where it didn't save maybe like 3 hours of progress one night, and I was just like, I'm not trying this again. That sucks. I got all the backpacks, all the different little. Stuff around the world, but where'd you end up on Spider-Man?
I platinumed it. I played the first part of the DLC and then just didn't. I liked it. I just never got back into it. They'd split it up for some reason into parts, and I felt that if they just released it all, then I would have played it all. But because it's split up, there's so many games that end up falling off your radar because of other releases, let alone DLC. So But I mean, it might be something I go back to. But yeah, I platinumed. I remember the last trophy I got was having to do all the crimes, and it just involved me having to swing around.
Oh, swing around.
Yeah, and just wait for a crime to happen, and that was. That tested my patience a little bit, but luckily the swinging's so fun. So
that's the thing. They nailed just like the movement. And to go back to Sunset Overdrive, I did pop that in. Maybe this is like 6 months. I had never played it leading up to the release of Spider-Man. So about 6 months before that, that's when I first got my Xbox One, and I made it a point to get Sunset Overdrive, and it was like $10 online.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can tell the movement is like the bare bones of the movement is there. It's not as fluid where you're swinging around, but there's such a focus on you're grinding on telephone poles, you're jumping and swinging, like you're never really supposed to stop. And when you do, you're penalized because you just kind of like move through molasses. You're super slow. But if you're grinding and always doing these combos, it's just you're just like on a roller coaster.
It sounds really good. I haven't seen or heard a huge amount of it. I know that people liked it, they played it, but yeah, that sounds really interesting, especially getting sort of penalised for being sort of not by grinding and having to take advantage of the movement system. Right. I was just trying to have a look because I don't know if it's available on PC because I don't have an Xbox.
I think they did make some kind of PC transition. I want to say like a couple months ago.
Before I considered getting an Xbox One for the exclusives and everything, but then when they sort of announced their Windows 10 or all Xbox games are coming to Windows 10 thing. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I can just keep my PC then. But I don't know if a Sunset Overdrive is in like a transition near every.
You know what? You might be able to find it. There's that Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah. For like, I want to say it's $50 a month, or there's like $1 a month price, like introductory price.
Yeah, that's
what.
But
I want to say that game is on there.
Yeah, that I've got the Game Pass for my PC. That's how I played Outer Worlds, and I've got the Halo Master Chief Collection from it. I'm trying to look for a search thing on the Microsoft Store. It's such an awful store.
It is. It's really bad.
I can't even see us. Oh, it's there. I see it. Let me just have a quick look. Sunset Overdrive.
It was dope, and it was definitely a reason to. Maybe not a whole reason to pick up the Xbox One, but I remember when I was leading up to buying one, when I was thinking of the exclusives, like that was a big one because it always looked really cool. Art style's awesome, the writing's funny, and then the movement was a whole thing.
It is on here, yeah. I'll install that whilst I'm here. Cool.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, we'll see. I would love them to tackle that Sunset Overdrive IP again. Although I don't know if they like start to bleed together, Sunset Overdrive and Spider-Man, as far as like the whole movement thing. Maybe it's just better to keep going with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe in the far future.
That's the sort of thing. I think that's what I like about Naughty Dog is they tend to be quite good at just stopping. Like with Crash Bandicoot, they obviously they stopped to the first 3 and then it went to someone else and they ended up driving it into the ground. And then with Jack and Daxter, they stopped after 3, and whatever else. I've just got a mind blank. Uncharted, well, they stopped after 4 with that one, but
they're pretty much.
And I think they've already said that they don't want to make a third Last of Us. So I think it's good as much as for us as like consumers of these games. We always want just everything all the time.
More, keep going.
Exactly, yeah. No, but I think it shows a good studio when they know when to stop. Because I mean, new IPs are, if you think about it, probably more exciting than sequels. But I say that through gritted teeth because I want sequels to everything.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I can understand from their side because I'm sure Sony's like, here's this wad of cash to make another Uncharted, make another Last of Us, but they understand it's like the fidelity, the quality of it's going to go down if we keep, and we don't even know what to say this next go around. It's like we can't just keep doing this. But so it's a good head on their shoulders to make those decisions. Yeah. Well, Callum, we got our next news story here. This is about some awesome microtransaction potential with the PS5. And who knows? This is a patent. Patents come and go all the time. We'll see. But the original article is from ccn.com. Thomas Bardwell writes, "This PlayStation microtransactions patent sees Sony going full evil. Sony has filed a patent with the World Intellectual Property Organization for an in-game resource surfacing platform. that could one day haunt PlayStation owners. Using machine learning, the platform offers contextually relevant advice and solutions, including microtransactions, to players stuck on a particular object or part of a game. The patent filing, published on January 30th, reveals a system that will mine and identify player-specific gameplay and successful attempts of completing the objective by other players and the resources used in doing so. It will then offer real-time resources or solutions for immediate use. In other words, PlayStation owners would ask their console for help, and the AI would serve up an array of potential solutions. And I have the actual schematic of the patent here and like the different threads and options, and it seems a bit weird. What's your take, your fast take on this?
Yeah, it's I don't really know to be honest. It's very I mean, I don't understand how it would work, firstly, and secondly, I don't really know if I want to understand it, because it just seems like such a horrible thing.
And it looks like it's obvious for us to focus on because there's the idea that you could ask your PlayStation, at least in the schematic in the patent, you could ask your PlayStation for help, and it could say, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that, but here's this DLC that finishes the level for you for $5." Like, that's the fear, I guess, people have with this possibility.
Yeah, I think the worst part is the actual question they've used. The how do I defeat the boss? Like, I think if the next bit after that said, here's a guide or here's a YouTube video. But the way it says resource X, buy now, it's like, what could you possibly buy? I mean, I say that, I have just platinum Resident Evil 2 because I bought the Infinite Rocket Launcher.
There you go.
But that's not the point. But yeah, no, I thought, it sounds extremely predatory.
Very robotic too, especially with this is just placeholder, but like the resource X, buy now. Like, I love that. Yeah. Just advertising lingo and like a robot is developing this for you. Yeah,
it's not nice.
No. I mean, if they could parlay this into like, hey, when you ask your PlayStation for help, it does that, like you mentioned, it shows you YouTube videos, that kind of thing.
I love that.
I want to say, and I want to say other platforms have advertised that idea, or I think maybe Stadia, when they were advertising their stuff, they had that idea that if you were getting stuck, you could pass your level to someone else online, they could finish it or send it back, or you could watch a tutorial and then like just jump into that tutorial with their whole gameplay online. So I think this possibility has been around. I just hope it's not directly tied to only being something you buy. Yeah,
I hope it's a misunderstanding on our side. Because for example, talking about Ni no Kuni, big JRPG, which I've been trying to go for the platinum for. There's been lots of times where I need to maybe craft something, and there's certain ingredients that you need that I don't know, so I'll like go on my phone and sort of Google what ingredients do I need for this. And then I've got my phone, I've got my PlayStation, and then I'll maybe doing something on the game, and I need to look back at my phone, and the screen's turned itself off. And so I mean, it sounds really like stupid, but to have something built into your console that could sort of help you out without microtransactions, would be great. And I mean, it's got the functionality already. It's got a browser, it's got a YouTube app. So I imagine this would be a PlayStation 5 thing, so it'd probably be even better than that. But I hope it doesn't go down the route of buying specific resources to skip parts of a game.
That's the worry.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, like, we say this now, but then fast forward to years from now where we're playing the next Dark Souls, and it says, hey, do you want to skip? Yes, God, yes. And you just like $5 now. So I feel like it might be, related to the game you're playing.
That would kill those games though, as well. I mean, I can't imagine devs would be very, because I mean, you've got some developers who, actually design their game around microtransactions, to try and actually make their game not fun, so that you pay to speed up certain processes. But for developers like Dark Souls developers, or even going back to Spider-Man, they design their game to be fun, so that you never want to skip anything. You want to play it, and you want that feeling, especially in Dark Souls. You want that feeling of that rewarding feeling of beating a hard boss, because that's what makes them so popular. Is that really that sense of accomplishment from beating them. So and that's a big pull for them, especially from a marketing standpoint. So I can't imagine many developers would be happy with this. I'm sure some of them, like your Ubisofts and EA, would love the idea, but
Oh yeah,
some others probably not.
It's also interesting looking at the patent. This is obviously a child talking to their PlayStation. So should they have access to like build their mom's account immediately?
Exactly. Yeah. And it says "buy now" right in front of their face. Yeah, it's horrible.
Also, their PlayStation just on the ground. I don't like this this whole world that this kid lives in. But
no, I don't like it either.
But yeah, we'll see that's a thing with definitely grain of salt kind of situation where the patents come and go, where it's just potential stuff, and they maybe use it, they maybe will never use it, who knows, or just like an idea from this, they just need to throw the patent down legally. But we'll see what happens with that. Callum, I'm interested in your take on this. So this is I'm not sure if we're super into the Burnout or the Need for Speed series, but here we go. The Burnout studio returns to take Need for Speed series into next gen. This is IGN's Chris Priceman writes, EA has announced the lead development of the Need for Speed games is moving back to the UK studio Criterion. EA told GI.biz the reason for this is because it struggled to find the right talent for series in Gothenburg, where current Need for Speed developer Ghost Games is situated. Criterion is based in Guildford, one of the UK's hotspots for game developers, so EA is hoping to have more luck there. Criterion is known for the Burnout games and making 2010's Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, 2012's Need for Speed Most Wanted. However, Criterion was downsized in 2013, and the development of Need for Speed games was moved to Swedish studio Ghost Games. Callum, this is in your neighborhood, right in your backyard. So, what do you feel about this?
Yeah, Guildford's quite close to me, actually. It's.
I was just assuming because UK, I just picture like everything's right around you, so I had no idea.
Yeah, to be fair, we're a small little island, but yeah, no, Guildford's probably about an hour's drive from me. It's not too far away at all. Gotcha. But in terms of this, I don't know. I liked Need for Speed Most Wanted on PS2, which came out probably around 2005-ish, and that was when EA developed it. And so is the two games that Criterion developed, are they Hot Pursuit and the recent Most Wanted, are they?
So Most Wanted in 2012 and then Hot Pursuit in 2010. I guess that's the last one they developed, and they jumped and were downsized, and then they have been working on other stuff. And then they're working on the...
Yeah, see, I don't know, because I didn't like those two games, Hot Pursuit and the new Most Wanted.
Gotcha.
I think that Need for Speed's been struggling since Carbon, probably, which was on PS2. So yeah, I'm not sure really what to think of this.
What about, were you a big Burnout fan?
Yeah, I liked Burnout Paradise. I thought Burnout Paradise was great. And I think that's where they're good, having this like big fun play, like sandbox to play around in is where it's fun. But for Need for Speed, which is all about street racing and gangs and trying to beat everyone, running away from the police and all this kind of thing, I felt Hot Pursuit and the new Most Wanted especially, because Most Wanted I think was the one where you could like teleport into other cars or something. Like
it's possible.
You could see another car, and with a Need for Speed game, you want to have a nice gritty garage with a car, and you can soup it up and all of that. And I just feel like Need for Speed's been lacking that for years now. During Criterion and even before they took it over. So, I mean, you never know. Maybe that they know this as well, and they'll be looking at it from a different perspective. So yeah, I mean, I think Need for Speed could be a really good franchise. I think racing games at the moment are just being dominated by Forza. Gran Turismo Sport is quite popular. So it'd be nice to have a more, something to challenge Forza Horizon, something a bit more casual, a bit more fun. But there's no good street racing games out there at the moment, so well, not that I know of anyway. So there's definitely a slot in the market for a good Need for Speed game.
Yeah, I would agree. That whole franchise is it's been around. It's always there when there's a new console and whatnot, but it seems to, in quality, has been dipping down. Maybe they just need a new refresh of a style, and this is where hopefully that team could bring to it, especially with Burnout. I mean, their whole thing was the destructibility, the action. So if they can, I don't know if they're allowed to bring some of that over, but I would hope so. If you're using this team, like have them focus on the crashes and how that looks. I know Need for Speed really doesn't go into detail with like the destruction, but it'd be awesome if they did.
Yeah, I think for me, it just seems like they sort of lost the reason for the franchise, because they pretty much became the same game. I mean, Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted, the newer ones that Criterion did, were very Burnout-esque, but I think, like you said, where they're probably not sure how much they can bring over, so it just creates this kind of weird arcadey game that doesn't really have its own style. Whereas if you look back at the really popular PS2 games like Underground 2, Most Wanted, they're just really fun, gritty street racing games with great soundtracks, really cool cars, a lot of customization, and that's just been missing. And I think when EA took over from Criterion, they tried to then go down the route of the street gangs and all that, but I think from what I haven't played, like Need for Speed Heat and all that, but from what I've heard, it sounds like they tried to go too narrative with that, so it just seems like maybe they're a bit lost on direction for it. But who knows? Like I said, I'd love for Need for Speed to come back and be a fun street racing game, so we can only hope.
Yeah, me too. And really, I mean, I think what people really demand instead of Need for Speed is, hey, bring out Burnout and just kind of redo that series, or just bring it back to life. I don't know if we need to have a Need for Speed every year or two like we've been having.
Oh, actually, there was a Need for Speed game I liked recently, or fairly recently. Shift. I really liked Need for Speed Shift.
Okay.
And I feel that one's overlooked slightly, because one of my favorite racing game is Race Driver Grid. I don't know if you played that.
I have not.
Which it holds up even now. It was on PS3, but I think they've rebooted it recently, because it spawned a couple of sequels which weren't as good. But Need for Speed Shift was a little bit like Grid. It had really a really cool cockpit view, which like really shook and sort of had this kind of like really cool camera feedback when you'd crash, and it had a really fun progression system, because I think progression systems are really important in these kind of games as well. And it was more of like a sport racer, so like it was tracks and teams and
but
yeah,
Gran Turismo style.
Yeah, exactly. And that, which, to go completely against what I said earlier, was not like Need for Speed at all, but it was at least a good racer game which was fun to play. So to completely go back against what I said, maybe they just need to make a good game.
Right. Well, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I imagine someone like their shareholder just walks in and it's like, hey, just make a better game. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's what we gotta do.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Callum, our next article here is about The Last of Us 2. This is Last of Us Part 2 LA Edition restock, PAX East hands-on, and more. This is Arn Meyer from the PlayStation blog. So there are a scant 108 days to go until The Last of Us Part 2 releases on May 29th. We are thrilled to say that we have entered the final stretch of production and are putting the finishing touches on The Last of Us Part 2 as you read this. We're delighted to let you know that The Last of Us Part 2 LA Edition will be back and available for pre-order in limited quantities, available at select retailers across U.S. and Canada only, starting Thursday, February 13th at 6 a.m. Looks like it's going for $229 US, $299 Canada. And so I have the picture up of the LA Edition here. There's a bunch of crap. I imagine it all fits in the backpack. There's a bunch of stuff there. It all looks awesome. I know we've talked, to jump out of the article, we've talked about collector's editions and stuff. This one does look like it comes with the game, but it also comes with a lot more. Does this interest you at all? Is this kind of, for me, this is out of my price range of how much I'm committing to spend on a special edition. But
it looks awesome. I love it. I think it looks really cool. It's a shame it's not available in the UK, but
I wonder if this restock is the one that they're talking about, but it might be the original might have been available.
I've just looked on, and the only thing I can see is an eBay thing. It's £260, which is,
I think that'd be less.
That's like $340.
Okay.
So I mean, not that the exchange rate normally works, sort of with the exchange rate anyway. But the only thing as well I can see on Game, which is our main game retailer, is just a collector's edition.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Oh, it does. It comes with a 12-inch Ellie statue. Sorry,
gotcha.
I'm just clicking through this. It doesn't seem to have the backpack. It says it has. So this is the Last of Us Part 2 collector's edition, game exclusive, which is the UK shop, and it is, how much even is it? But it comes with a full game in steelbook case, 12-inch Ellie statue, 48-page mini art book, replica of Ellie's bracelet, art print and thank you letter, 5 stickers. So yeah, I think it's everything except the backpack.
Gotcha. This also has like a vinyl, a record, soundtrack as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'd hope
it's not too far off, but
no.
it's not this package.
And that is £160. So
gotcha.
A little bit less, but I mean that's to be fair, that kind of puts it into perspective. That's not a bad price considering you get a vinyl and a backpack.
And a backpack, yeah.
I mean, I still out of my price range for a game, but yeah, that it looks really cool. I think that will probably sell very quickly. It's going to be huge. But
yeah, they love their special editions for sure.
Yeah, really, really excited for Last of Us 2. But when was the original release date? Would it be out? No, it wasn't. It wouldn't be out. Was it February?
It was February. Was the original? Yeah, so it was like mid-February. So we would have been.
So we'd be gearing up for that right now.
Yeah. Which is, it's always better when they have more time to work on the stuff and polish.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So it's just a bummer for us, but it's also just like we have enough games. Just in general, there are enough games to play. So it's fine.
To be fair, I've been really glad that there's nothing that I'm interested in out till April. If this was to come out in February, I'm sure that would eat up a lot of time that I could be spending on my backlog.
Right. So they do end that article with some information about PAX East. Apparently it's playable there, which is pretty dope. So not only did Ellie and Joel's... Right. And I'll just kind of finish off their little thing. Not only did Ellie and Joel's journey begin in Boston, but PAX East also has a special meaning for us. It was where we gave you the first ever opportunity to go hands-on with The Last of Us back in 2013. We thought it'd be only fitting to return to the city that started it all and give fans the first ever public hands-on with The Last of Us Part 2 from February 27 to March 1st. Attendees will have an opportunity to play Patrol, featuring an early area of the game where Ellie and Dina must venture out of Jackson into the surrounding areas to clear out infected. I guess I didn't expect them to have a demo playable. I feel like they're just going to be trucking along, but I imagine this is what the press got to play a couple months ago when there was like a preview event where they finally were talking about it and showing it off.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's a bit far away for me, but
a little bit.
I'll just wait till May, I suppose.
yeah. No, that's fair. I'm super stoked. I can't wait. I mean, this is one of my games of the last gen. I mean, I even played it a lot when it was on the PS4, but so can't wait. Did you ever dip into the multiplayer?
I was literally just about to say the multiplayer is one of my favorite multiplayers I've ever played. It's so overlooked, I think, and it is, and especially considering it was like an afterthought. I think they didn't start developing it till really late on, and I just think the sort of meta to it, the whole sort of the survivors, and you've got to collect enough supplies, and it just makes every single game feel important. I loved it. I absolutely adored the multiplayer on that. And because they're releasing it's like a separate game, aren't they?
They mentioned a couple months ago it's planned on being, I don't know if it's just I highly doubt it's a free thing. I think they're going to give them time to flesh it out and release it for whatever amount, but they can then almost treat it as its own title. Maybe that's how The Last of Us kind of carries on for the next few years through this multiplayer.
I think that's it's a cool idea. I mean, it obviously allows them to really flesh it out and maybe have a dedicated team to it. But yeah, the multiplayer is just incredible. So really looking forward to see how they've sort of developed on that and sort of fleshed that out as well. Yeah,
no, I can't wait. Cannot wait. Callum, our next article is about Jeff Keighley. So apparently he's skipping E3. Really, E3 this whole year is getting kicked in the ass. So this is another one. So the actual report is from Patrick Shanley of Hollywood Reporter. Jeff Keighley, the creator and host of the Game Awards, will skip this year's E3 convention in LA. Given what has been communicated about E3 so far, I just don't feel comfortable participating this year, Keighley tells the Hollywood Reporter. Keighley has hosted the E3 Coliseum event, a live stream show that welcomes developers and various Hollywood stars on stage near the LA Convention Center throughout the run of the convention for the past 3 years. He declined the offer to produce this year's E3 Coliseum. The ESA and E3 have come under fire recently for leaking the personal information of thousands of media attendees, and Wednesday morning, the official E3 2020 website was leaked, showcasing what developers would be in attendance at this year's show, Activision, Ubisoft, and Bethesda among them. Callum, what are your thoughts on this? Is this kind of another nail in the coffin, or is our time just changing, for E3?
Yeah, I really like Jeff Keighley. I think the Game Awards are really good. I think he's a great host, and he's definitely sort of a good guy. But I just so what is it he doesn't feel comfortable about? Is it because of the leaks that have been going on?
That was the quote, but he hasn't gone into super detail. So I know he mentioned, because he announced on Twitter and he said he was going to kind of answer questions online further about it, but I haven't seen more information yet on this, it seems kind of vague.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely another nail in the coffin. I think the data leaks are, it's not good. It's very unprofessional, especially considering that a website's been leaked. I don't really know, what they're doing there really. It's funny. It's even more exaggerated for sort of me, because in the UK we recently had a change to our data laws. I don't know if you heard of it, a thing called GDPR, which came into effect last May, I think it was, and it basically is just this huge new data protection thing where if anybody's personal details get leaked from a company, then that company is liable for huge like business ending fines. So it's one of those things where we've all had people who work in certain areas that deal with data have had to really learn about all of this. So it's really not good to leak personal information of people. It's if that had happened to a UK company, I don't think E3 would be happening again. But yeah, it's not looking good at all. I love E3. It's kind of like the Super Bowl or a World Cup final. I love just sort of staying up till daft hours in the morning. It's probably on a normal time for you, actually, isn't it?
No, for us it's regular ass time. We're eating our dinner and we're watching it. But I imagine for you, it's
yeah, I have to end up watching it at work or at about 3 a.m. in the morning.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's sad, but I think it's just natural what's happening now. I think we said last week about I can't remember what we were saying, but we were saying how it's just easier just to announce things on YouTube channels now and on social media. But yeah, shame Jeff Keighley's not going to be there, but we'll see him at the Game Awards.
Yeah, and then I mean this year, we have PlayStation leaving as well, so it's just kind of another thing where these companies are realizing, hey, we can do our own thing, and I imagine it's expensive to set up a stage, and you have to push these developers to have something ready to go. And what if you just kind of create your own time frame? And,
yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know if this E3 will definitely be different. I foresee it going for at least another, 3 years. It's going to keep morphing, but it's not like this is the last one kind of thing. It's just we can tell that now everything's shifting to something different.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Callum. I don't know if you caught this weird PlayStation ad over the past couple of days, but apparently it's their Valentine's Day ad. And I was just going to mention if you've seen it, it's very strange.
Yeah, I watched it briefly today. And yeah, it's pretty. I was kind of anticipating something horrible because it's got quite a dark sort of mood to it anyway. With the guys sort of coming down this big hole and and then the end. It sort of reminded me of Jurassic Park a little bit, but it was even creepier when I saw what was in the cages. But
with the beating hearts.
It reminds me. Was it? Yeah, the PS2 had the strange ads, and I think even PS3 had some weird ones as well.
PS3 they actually paid David Lynch, which is this well-known surreal director, to make this insane ads that had nothing to do with PlayStation. But so I wonder it's that kind of thing again. But
because PS4 had really good adverts actually. I remember there was I think it was the sort of launch one where they had all these sort of characters that were like in real life, and I think it might have been launch or it might have been around something big. But I remember PS4 had a really strong marketing campaign. It really made you want to play a PlayStation, whereas the others just sort of make you think of PlayStation.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely learned where this gen they paired a lot of realistic trailers with live action sort of trailers with the game. So they did that I know for sure with Death Stranding, they had this it wasn't live action, but it was a CG recreation of what's happening in the game along with so as a trailer. They realized, people want to see gameplay of the game. Cool. Like, and so they made trailers based on that, and not just some weird doll in the corner that's freaking out.
Yeah, I remember actually with the Death Stranding, they had like a gameplay reveal thing on Twitch, and I remember being really interested. I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see this, and I turned it on, and it was just black, and it had those like handprints over it. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, okay.
And I remember that, and so everyone was like tuning into this reveal, and like every half hour, every hour, one of these handprints would move, slowly revealing it, and it actually put me off the game. It actually put me off so much because I thought it's just such like it's already like it already been marred in such mystery. I just thought, you know, that enough's enough now. Like, just show off your game.
Yeah, and it's total like disregard for your time too, to be like, check back in 2 hours when finally all the footprints are gone, and
Yeah, I do find that there is sometimes a slight arrogance with Hideo Kojima.
Sure.
He just sort of like, but I mean, it works. I mean, he makes great games, but it was just like with Death Stranding, I was just like, this is just too much now. Like, it's sort of just completely like done the opposite effect of what it was meant to do.
Yeah, and this is Kojima without a leash. Like, they just gave him a blank check and said, hey, go for it, and so he's just, he has nobody to answer to now, so he's just gonna keep being super weird.
He's just going for it. Yeah.
Well, Callum, we talked about Dreams, and we definitely want to give that a go and see. I kind of want to wait for it to be cheaper. I don't know if I'm just like Scrooge McDuck over here, but like I want to. It's got to hit a price point where I'm like ready to jump in and play with it. Yeah. I'll wait on my masterpiece that I create eventually with this game.
You use that time to sort of design something really intricate.
To actually plan it out. So lastly, Callum, there's this. I was just kind of curious if you were interested in this thing that came out a couple of years ago, but what reminded me of this was Xbox has this kind of a deal with Air Jordans, where they have this like Air Jordan themed PlayStation or Xbox rather, that has a logo and whatnot. There's rumors that there's going to be I guess there is a shoe. I didn't pull up pictures of the shoe, but it's like this Xbox themed Air Jordan. A couple years ago, they put out these PlayStation themed shoes, which are these like cool black speckled color themed PlayStation shoes. Were you ever interested in all of those, or did you ever check those out?
I'm not the trendiest of people, so I normally, especially when it comes to shoes, I normally just wear sort of basically, like skate shoes or whatever. So I mean, I think they look pretty cool. Yeah, I just can't imagine myself wearing them, but I can definitely imagine them sort of definitely. They definitely look cool. I like the Galaxy sort of with the red Nike tick, and I don't know what that logo on the other sort of tongue of the other shoe. I like that.
Oh,
logo.
That's in reference to it's a reference because this shoe is like in conjunction with a basketball player, and so that's his logo or something. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're the kind of shoe that they do look really cool, really beautiful, but you also can't wear them anywhere or get them dirty at all. So it's like good luck actually wearing these out in the town.
Yeah. I bet they're not cheap either.
No, yeah. So they went for around $100 and some when they were actually released, and now they're on eBay just $200-$300 US beyond that because they made I don't know 5 of them, so they instantly sold out, and so now you can't really find them at a regular price. But
yeah, they look comfy though.
Yeah. Spoken like a true old man, like, oh, those look comfy, but
they look
not
comfy,
for me. You're like a trendy dude. You got tattoos and stuff. I feel like you got some style going.
Oh no, I don't know.
Nope.
Especially, I don't know. It's with shoes. It's kind of like every time I buy shoes, I look at them and I just don't like any of them. And then when I then put some on my feet and I look at them in a mirror, I'm like, oh yeah, they're all right actually. But it's just shoes on their own just never look nice to me. So I kind of just stick to shoes that I know I like. Like I like like Nike Janoskis, and sort of shoes like that really.
What was that again? It was a Nike something?
Nike Janoskis. They're just like I think it's spelled JONOSKI or something.
But they're just like the skate shoe, right? The Nike puts out.
Just simple. They're really comfy as well. I mean, comfort's a big thing, but
oh yeah, for sure. Then do you like Vans? Those low top Vans? Are you a fan of that kind of style into those like slip on?
I don't mind. I don't mind Vans. The only thing with Vans is they remind me of. I don't know if it's a weird UK thing or not, but I remember at school when I was young in PE. you'd wear like these plimsolls. Is that a word you've got over there?
I don't think so.
They're like I think it's plimsolls. They're like these strange shoes.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's like just like a slip-on. There's a company that has taken this shoe and they actually sell a shoe like this. But yeah, and those kind of Vans shoes remind me of those a lot. But I have had Vans before and I do like them. I like Vans, a lot of other Vans stuff as well. But yeah, I'm trying to think what I think what I wear at the moment. I think I've just got a couple of knockoff Converse, like. Okay.
There's another thing as well. It's going to sound really bad, but because I don't like sort of shoes when I'm out shopping for them, I also don't like spending a lot of money on them. So Janoskis are normally like £40-50, which is about, I don't know, like $80. And anything more than that, I just think, they're going to get dirty straight away. What's the point?
Right. No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm not the best person to ask about shoes, but they do look cool. They do look cool, and I'd love the PlayStation logo. So
yeah, it's dope. I mean, I'm not gonna buy these, but for sure, they are cool. Yeah. Alrighty, Callum. Well, yeah, we'll end it there, Callum. Cool. Let me give you the little plugs and stuff. Where can they find you online?
So probably Twitter at the moment. That's where I post most of my sort of game dev updates and sometimes the odd, crap opinion. And it's Bear Munro, BARE, and then Munro, which is MUNRO. Other than that, I'm not really too active anywhere else, so it's probably the best place.
Gotcha. We can get the hot shoe takes on your Twitter page.
Yeah. Send me pictures of shoes and.
They should just send you pictures of feet. I think that'd be cool too.
Oh no.
Alrighty, Callum. And you can find us on Plastic Heart Pod as well on Twitter. That's it for us this week on L2R2. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you later.
You're too late. I've already summoned Meteor.
Okay, let's go.